Good evening and welcome to the Melissa Cardinals Network. This is Trey Graham along with Cardinals head football coach Matt Nally welcoming you to this week's edition of the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. We've told you we're taking the show on the road every week, taking you to a different spot around the Melissa High School campus and the Melissa sports facilities. And Coach, we've maybe come to the fanciest place around.
Yes, sir. You ain't lying. Yes, sir. It's very congressional.
Congressional.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I've heard a lot of words, but
Yeah.
congressional. Okay. This is officially known as the community room.
Mm-hmm.
Most people just call it the fourth floor because
Right.
it is the fourth floor of the press box. Where we were last week in the coach's booth is right above us, and our broadcast booth is above us. The PA is, everything is the working floor, as they call it, up on the fifth floor. We'll show you some photos of this beautiful facility called the community room, and the field is right here. You can maybe hear the band as they're practicing right now. So, Coach, this is another one of those examples of beautiful facilities that Melissa ISD and the residents of Melissa have provided for the students and
Correct.
and staff of the school.
Correct. And once again, it goes back to the vision of the administration, the vision of the community, and giving kids what they deserve. And kids deserve things like this, and it's super nice and things like that. But there's so much more that goes in this room than Friday night stuff. So it's pretty cool.
It is used on Friday nights.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of visitors and guests, school board members, school officials, special guests, things like that use this room and watch the game from here. There's seating right outside here. But as you say, it's used all during the week.
Correct.
You and I come to meetings and they're in this room, and I'm sure that different teachers groups and faculty groups and all kinds of things. So it's used a lot, not just on Fridays. And it's a beautiful facility, but it's also very functional. Lots of work gets done.
Heck yeah. The thing that we were talking about last week is, my offensive staff, they use this room on Friday nights. There's TVs everywhere to break down film, of that night's game. So, but yeah, besides that, there's so much things. I've been in a million meetings in this thing, and but yeah, it's very much so a multi-functioning room.
So we are showing you different facilities around the complex. Some of you have been here, some of you have not, but it's a beautiful facility called the community room. And before we get any further, let me tell you that tonight's broadcast is again sponsored by the First Melissa Student Ministry, because we told you last week the fifth quarter event coming up this Friday right after the ball game concludes at First Melissa. The students from Melissa High School and Anna High School and other places are invited to a place with food and music and human foosball and all kinds of things. Fifth quarter event coming up this Friday. Before we talk about the Anna game, because that's who you're playing this week, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's take a look back for just a moment to a huge victory over Frisco Liberty. Final score was 70-13. In fact, we talked on this program a week ago. I asked you about the all-time most points scored in a game.
Right.
And you were reminded, because we've talked about this in years past, that 75 points was the most points ever scored. 70 was the second most, and that's what you did.
Okay, yeah.
You tied it.
Dang right.
So since you maybe remembered it was 75, there wasn't a plan to go for 77?
No, sir. No, sir. We weren't going to try to do that. And in all reality, I really wasn't trying to get to 70 either. But at the end of the day, we're going to play the way that we play, and people got to get stops, and we got to get stops.
They do have to tackle you.
Yeah. So it was an awesome game to be a part of, but I never want to do that to anybody. So it just turned out that way.
70-13 was the final score. 56 points in the first half. We mentioned it on the broadcast. We were wondering if it would get to running clock mode.
Yeah.
And it did.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Remind the audience how that happens.
Well, normally in a game, an official will come over. Well, a coach will go to the official and request for the clock to run. And then that official has to go over to the other coach and say, hey, they have requested that the clock run. If both coaches agree, then the clock can start running.
And there seems to be levels. Sometimes it's literally, it just runs 12 straight minutes, and that's it. Sometimes it's stopped on change of possession or scoring. So Do you say we're going to like the mini version or the max version, or how do you decide that?
I think it's with the team that's winning doesn't know the level, because I've been on the side of I haven't been on the side of the other let's run the clock that much, so I don't really know that piece of it. But on my end, you never know when that's going to happen because the other night the clock just started running, and
Well,
it didn't stop.
Again, sort of randomly. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it ran during extra points, which you're
Right.
not supposed to do, but
Right.
it stopped on change of possession sometimes, and so I think the clock operators aren't quite sure what to do either.
The other night I looked up one time and I don't know if it was a change of possession. I know it was a dead ball, and I looked up. I don't know what I was doing, but it looked up and the clock's running. I was like, oh, we're at this point. So
So we did get to go home early.
yeah, heck
That was
yeah,
nice.
that was the crazy thing. It was the game ended so early.
And talk about the facility, Toyota, the soccer palace.
Yeah, what an awesome place, and what an awesome experience for our kids to have, going to that place in the behind the scenes of it. It was so nice. It was so extraordinary. You get to go to these different places, and it's not like when I first got here or before I got here, where you'd go and your locker room was a portable or something like that. I mean, it's just over the top, super nice, and the kids really valued that, and that's what I took to heart was just how much the kids enjoyed it.
So you and Lionel Messi have shared a locker
Yeah,
room?
heck yeah. Heck
Did you
yeah.
text him or anything to let him know?
It was more like a Snapchat, I think. I don't even know how to
I don't
do
know how that works, but I'll believe you. You're younger than I am, so what do I know?
Oh,
Okay,
goodness.
so 70-13, big victory over Frisco Liberty, ready to move in, continue the district play.
Right.
We'll talk about that in a second, but we're about to meet our players of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, your freshman running back,
Yeah,
Jeremiah Bear Tabor.
Correct.
And your senior defensive lineman, Jacob Wasserman. And first things first, I don't know that we've had a freshman player of the game because you don't have very many freshmen playing on the varsity level.
right.
So how did he earn that spot? Playing 8th grade football last
Right,
year,
right.
varsity football, player of the game now.
Right.
So talk about his development.
When you saw him in the 8th grade, you kind of wondered if he could potentially do it. In the summer, you saw flashes of it. And then when we got into fall camp is when you really started to notice, okay, he's a little bit different physically, but he moves a little bit different. And so during fall camp, I wanted to throw him into the fire just to see if he could do it. So our first real noticeable situation that we put him in was a scrimmage that we had here, and he did well. And I was like, okay, but this Argyle scrimmage is going to show me a lot. In the Argyle scrimmage, he showed me that he could play varsity football because, varsity football is, Owen has played varsity football since he was a freshman. Hollenbeck. And it's a different world. People don't understand, like, you can play a bad team and lose because of little small details that go on that you mess up on. But and not just that, the speed of the game and the physicality of the game and whatnot. So I was really worried about the speed of it and the physicality piece of it for Bear. But during that Argyle scrimmage, he showed me that he's a very intelligent kid and he's a very physical kid. So I was like, heck yeah, man, let's do this.
It's not just running the football.
Correct.
You got to be a pass blocker.
Correct.
You got to know your assignments. So it's the mental side of the game.
Yeah, and not just that, you got to be a pass catcher, and that was something that he stood out with. Was he could catch the football out of the backfield. He was very, very efficient in our blocking schemes and our pass protections. So that made him kind of stand out a little bit to me. That, hey, man, this kid, he's a little bit better than I thought he was. So especially like you can't really gauge. It's 8th grade football. And there's a kid that might dominate 8th grade football, and they might not be ready for varsity football. So, and that's what was my fear was. I didn't want to put him on the varsity and him waste any time or any reps or anything like that. So I was really nervous about that piece of it. But he came in and just, did his thing. And to his favor, that kid works extremely hard. And people say, I mean, what got him on the varsity? Well, his work ethic got him on the varsity. I didn't do that. That's what Bear did. So he very much so earned it.
Well, we'll show you a few of his highlights in a moment. But first, let's talk about our defensive player of the game, senior defensive end Jacob Wasserman.
First off, just what a great kid. What a great young man. What a great person that's going to grow up and do great things for, I really feel like, the world. He's gonna at least serve other people in a positive direction. Just what a great guy. He brings a smile to my face every time I talk or think about him. And, he is just a blessing. And then, as a football player, we kind of had him at center for a long time. That was kind of the vision that we wanted to go with Jacob Wasserman. And, when he was a freshman and a sophomore, that's kind of where we figured that we would put him. And, we've been watching the Anna scrimmage from last year. He played center last year in the Anna scrimmage. So he also played defensive line. But, just a true leader. And just a great person, a great kid. And he's very deserving of a defensive MVP from you guys.
We will show you a few of his highlights in a moment. We do invite you and your family to join us every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. or 10:15 a.m. Go to firstmelissa.com to find out more. Join us in our church family, First Melissa. You are invited. And, Coach, we're going to take a break and meet our players of the game, and then we're going to talk about the Purple People.
Yeah.
Pretty big game.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. You're watching the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. This is Trey Graham, and you're going to meet our offensive and defensive players of the game tonight and see a few highlights from each of them. Right now, this is our offensive player of the game, freshman running back Jeremiah Tabor, and they call you Bear, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll ask about that in a minute. Congratulations on being the offensive player of the game.
Thank you.
You had 2 touchdown runs in the victory over Liberty. So what was the highlight for you in that game?
Probably my second touchdown.
Okay.
That one, I don't know, there's something about it that I just really liked. How I got to read my O line and how it pushed up the field, and then just kind of was
pretty much untouched.
Yeah.
Okay. It's easy when they block well, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So last week we had the whole O line as the players of the game. So this is your time to thank them for opening holes for you.
Even my first touchdown, well, it got called back. I give that to them. They're a very big part of our offense. Without them, we couldn't do anything.
So what is it like being a freshman on the varsity level?
It's a lot different. I got to tell you that.
Meaning?
It's just a lot more different than coming in straight from middle school.
Right.
It's different down there than it is up here.
Oh, of course. Bigger, faster.
Oh yeah.
The game's more complicated, right?
Oh, yeah.
The game plan, the playbook.
Yes, sir.
So what did you do to try to get adjusted?
Just made sure I went over my plays before the game and even during the week.
Okay. Now, your name is Jeremiah?
Yes, sir.
But they call you Bear.
Yes, sir.
Why? And when did that start?
I was probably about second grade. It's what I told my friends to call me.
So you chose it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Is it like your favorite animal or something?
No. It's just when my parents and everybody called me whenever I was little.
Okay. Do you know who Bear Bryant is?
No, sir.
You don't?
No,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Well, you'll be excused for your age. He's one of the greatest college football coaches ever. Bear Bryant is his name. All right.
Yes, sir.
Now talk about the things you've learned as the freshman, as the underclassman. What have the upperclassmen taught you?
To not be complacent. Just go out there. Not to have just go play.
Okay. Favorite class in school?
Probably art.
Really? Why?
I like to draw.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good. And what do you want to do after high school?
Play football.
Okay. And you're only in 9th grade.
Yes.
You've already have some contacts with some coaches.
Yes,
You have
sir.
some offers.
Yes, sir.
Tell us where.
I have an offer from Tech.
Texas Tech.
Yes, sir.
Very good. And you're talking to other schools, I'm sure?
Yes, sir.
Very good. And the last thing, what have your coaches taught you?
it's hard. Probably just like, wow, there's so many things they've taught me.
About life and about football, I assume.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so you're having a pretty good year.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on being the player of the game.
Thank you.
Jeremiah Tabor, running back number 22, the offensive player of the game for the victory over Liberty. We'll take a break, show you a few of his highlights, and then we'll introduce you to Jacob Wasserman, our defensive player of the game, right after this.
1-0. Trips left on 2nd and 2. Give it to the freshman running back. Touchdown, Cardinals. Easy.
Yeah, just went
7-yard run.
right behind Max Wright, cut right behind him on his block, and wasn't touched going in the end zone.
Liberty Band in the background. Trips left. Hand the ball off on 3rd down. Has an easy 1st down and more. One stiff arm, one move, and an easy touchdown. 36 yards for Bear Tabor. His 2nd touchdown run of the night. And the scoring barrage continues.
But great job.
Welcome back to the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. We're introducing you to our players of the game for the big victory over Frisco Liberty. And our defensive player of the game was senior defensive lineman Jacob Wasserman. And you said it's been 2 years since you were on the show.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations for being our defensive player of the game.
Thank you.
What was the game plan going into the Liberty game?
The game plan going in the Liberty game was to not get complacent. Like practice the same way all week, no matter who the opponent is. Like respect who we're going against.
Because you knew you were the favorite.
Yeah, we knew we were the favorite, but that doesn't change the way we practice. Like still, coaches are still like pushing us practice hard because we know who we have coming up this week, and we just know that like use this game to get better at the small things.
Okay, we'll talk about the Anna Coyotes in a minute.
Yes, sir.
You've been all over the field. You were an O lineman for a while,
Sure.
now D lineman. Do you like one over the other?
I definitely like defensive line better. Yes,
Why?
Sir. Well, I just think it's a lot more like freeing, and you get to. I
You'd
think
rather
it's
be
way
the
more fun.
attacker?
Well, yeah, the attacker, and I think it's just a lot more fun, and I think I get to be way more like myself, and like just play more physical.
Okay. And as a senior, you're supposed to be one of the leaders
Yes,
out
sir.
there.
Yes, sir.
What's that role like?
Well, especially with all the great leaders we had leave last year, I think that like taking on that role, especially for the young kids that are gonna be starting next year, I just try to be like set a great example and like help all the younger kids with the small things.
What makes a good defensive end?
I'd say speed, quickness off the ball, and then great hands, and you gotta be smart too. You gotta be able to make your reads quick.
Okay, and let's talk about the Anna Coyotes.
Yep.
Big rivalry?
That's a big game. We had a rivalry a while ago.
Right.
So it's coming back.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And what's your game plan? They are the defending state champs.
Yes, sir.
What's your game plan?
I think our game plan is to just like play Melissa football. Like we know what we're gonna do going into it. I just think we can't treat this like any different game. We're just gonna go do what we've been doing all year.
Favorite class in school?
I'd probably say environmental science.
Okay. Why?
Well, especially because it's dual credit. I'm in dual credit. It's very it's a very free roam class. And like tomorrow we're going outside and we're looking out in the grass and in the plants and stuff. And we do a lot of like creative stuff. And my professor, Professor Beck, is a super fun guy. He's a fun class.
Good. What do you want to do after high school?
After high school, if the opportunity presents itself, I want to play football, and then I want to pursue engineering wherever I can go.
Have you been talking to schools?
Yes, sir. I have a offer from Colorado School of Mines, and they're like a really good engineering school, so I've been
Good.
looking into them a lot.
Good. Are you
sir.
talking to other schools?
Yes, sir. I've talked to a couple.
Good. Well, congratulations on
Sir,
being the
thank
defensive
you.
player of the game. Senior defensive lineman Jacob Wasserman, our defensive player of the game for the victory over Frisco Liberty. We'll take a break and come back with Coach Matt Nally right after this.
Stuff. And so, all right, here we go. Cardinals in a 3-4 defensive alignment. And Hudson Zufeld's at one of those defensive end spots. Logan Diamore is down there as well. First and 10 from the 37-yard line. Shotgun snap. They're going to fake the handoff, and they're going to have pressure and be taken down on the play. Sack there for the Cardinals by Jacob Wasserman, also on the D-line.
Wass got off his block very quick. Was forced right into him, and he took care of business there.
30-yard line for the first possession of the first play of this possession. They're going to hand the ball going right, going nowhere. Good defense there for the Cardinals.
Wasserman there again for the Cardinals, along with Donahoe.
Spot him at the 39 on the natural grass surface here at the Soccer Palace. Trips left, one receiver right. And handing the ball and going nowhere are the Red Hawks. Cooper on the carry.
I think Jacob Wasserman on the bottom of the pile for the Cardinals. He's having a fine senior year, Jacob is.
Motion man for the Red Hawks. Out of the shotgun, there's a little trouble. They hand the ball off and go nowhere on the play. Wasserman and Zufelt among the Cardinals.
Yep.
Welcome back to the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. You met our offensive and defensive players of the game. Baird Tabor, running back, and Jacob Wasserman, defensive lineman, for the big victory over Frisco Liberty. 70-13 was the final score, as we mentioned earlier, tying the second most points scored by a Melissa Cardinal football team. And now let's turn our attention to Friday night. The Anna Coyotes, the Purple People, are here. And let's give them their due. The defending state champs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They are in Class 5A football. They won a 4A Division I state championship a year ago. Melissa and Anna have been district mates for a long time, and then for the last few years have not been in the same district. At one point, the UIL had Anna and Melissa in different regions.
Wow.
Which I don't understand how the map works.
Yeah, me neither. No, sir.
There's like 4 miles in between, and you're in a different region, but
yeah.
UIL got it all squared away. You're playing a district game against a rivalry team. And we mentioned on the broadcast that the all-time series record is not close between the two teams.
Oh, really?
Do you know the all-time record?
I do not.
Do you know how many times Melissa and Anna have played in varsity football?
I do not.
12.
Okay.
And Melissa has won 11.
Oh, okay.
So the all-time series record, Cardinals 11, Coyotes 1. The one Coyotes victory was back in 2010.
Oh, wow.
But it's been a few years since you played.
Right, right.
So for old people like us, it's still a rivalry because we remember all those games.
Right.
I'm asking you, for the kids now, the players now, who probably haven't played Anna in football. Now, you play them in all the other sports.
Right.
You do, track meets and you do academic contests. Everybody knows each other. But is the rivalry so fiery for the kids because you haven't played in a while?
No. I had a team meeting the other day, and I asked because I'm running on fumes. This is after a game and whatnot. I'm running on fumes. I say, how many of y'all played Anna in football ever? And one hand went up, and it was Owen Hollenbeck. He was it. And I was like, golly, it has been a while since we've played. So I don't believe that the so-called rivalry, like if people were asking me, like, who is your rival? Well, it's going to be Argyle is going to be our rival.
Now, back in the day, it would have been Salina.
Salina, right. And, when I was here before, or not before, but when I was the OC and then the younger, 5 or 6 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, it had been Salina. But now it's been Argyle every year. And that the Anna Coyotes has not been a game that we played. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I was the first person to congratulate Coach Parr last year, but I congratulate him on the season. Every playoff victory, I try to hit him up and give him a congratulations.
Deservedly.
Yeah, and then when they won it, I would congratulated him and whatnot. I think he's a great football coach. I think last year's team was amazing. I think this year's team is just as good. And he does a great job, and that staff does a great job of coaching, and they got a great, special, talented group of kids. And, it's, to me, maybe this is a renewal, like maybe that sparks it again. But like those young kids, no. And it's kind of like when we were young, like when it was the town that was close to you, there'd be fights under the full moon on a Saturday night by the oak tree. I just don't think that exists anymore. And those kids, if you talk to our kids, I'm sure if you talk to Anna kids, they're like, yeah, that's my friend.
Right.
We're buddies. So I don't.
Well, they're all going to the fifth quarter after the game.
Right. So I don't think that exists anymore. But like I said, maybe this is the spark of it.
So 12 all-time meetings, 11-1. We just told you is the record. Cardinals have the big lead in the all-time series. Coach Parr left high school in Lubbock to come to Collin County, and a lot of people asked him, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And he's built a very good program.
Yep.
And they have a very, very talented quarterback, Zeandre, who won the state title for him, and he's back. He won it as a sophomore a year ago. So I assume in your defensive meetings, let's shut that guy down.
He's been talked about. He's definitely been talked about. The thing is about him is what a special player. But, when I was an OC, that kid is like a kid that, like Brendan Lewis, like I had. Like, you could make a bad call, and that kid would get you out of a bad call. So he is just such a special player, super talented, and we're fortunate enough to get to play a kid like that. But the thing too that a lot of people don't talk about is, number one, Edward Chumley is extremely talented, and he is very, very good. And I think that he's underrated because I think that he is one of their best football players. And I think he's tough.
Running back.
He's a running back. I think.
And Gentry is very talented DB.
Yeah, heck yeah. The Ashley kid's a great receiver. The Bell kid's a great receiver. They just have a lot of tools and a lot of weapons around them. But I'll be honest with you. These are the type of games that we got put in a 9-team district, and it is what it is. But this is the type of game that's going to help you. In that November and December games, and because it's still so early in the year, a lot of people are playing their first district game or their second district game, and we get to play our third district game. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's an awesome opportunity for us, and we've been talking about number 8 and number 1 in our defensive meetings. Yes, sir.
So the last question for you on this rivalry note. You talk about a lot. You're leading and coaching 15, 16, 17-year-olds. Mm-hmm. How do you keep them off the roller coaster of this is the big game, and then, well, that's just a regular game, and how do you keep them even?
You have to talk about it consistently. So the first thing I said in our team meeting was this is just another game. This isn't anything that, our ultimate goal isn't to beat Anna. Our ultimate goal is to get better each week, get into the playoffs, and in the playoffs, find a way to win by getting better each week and then playing in week 16. That's the goal. It can't be, let's beat Anna, because if that's what it is, well, then you're still looking at Lovejoy in the face. So we got to make sure that we keep things in perspective. And the perspective is, yes, 1 week at a time, it's Anna right now. But at the end of the day, man, we're playing for December football, and we're looking to get better each week. And I think the kids have bought into that philosophy.
I'm glad you brought that up. I do want to invite you and your family to First Melissa on Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. or 10:15 a.m. Visit the website, firstmelissa.com. I'm glad you brought up Lovejoy. Reminds me to ask you about that basketball game they had against Anna. Yeah. Final score in football, 66-62.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Lovejoy with the win.
It's nuts because, Coach Parr I consider a friend of mine, and then Coach Dodge I kind of consider a friend/mentor. So talking to both of them about the game, I thought Coach Parr called a great game throughout the game, and then I thought Coach Dodge called a great game too. It was kind of like, whoever had the ball last was going to win the game, and Anna had their opportunity there at the end to win the game. But it was, if you're an offensive guy, you loved it. You loved everything about it. You loved the play calls. You loved the situational calls. You loved everything about it. If you're a defensive guy, you probably left early.
66-62.
Yeah, and there were some special team mistakes on both sides that I think really hurt both programs. But that game could have went any way. So.
Well, it will be a big night this Friday. We're inviting you to be here in the house. Coach Kenny Deal Stadium, 7:30 kickoff, 7 o'clock pregame show here on the Melissa Cardinals Network. Your Melissa Cardinals hosting the defending state champ, Anna Coyotes, Friday night. It'll be a big game. Hope you'll be here with us. And thanks to the First Melissa Student Ministry and their big event, fifth quarter after the game this Friday, for sponsoring today's broadcast. Congratulations again to Jeremiah Baird Tabor for being our offensive player of the game, Jacob Wasserman for being our defensive player of the game. Thanks to Coach Matt Nally for joining us. Thank you for joining us. This has been the Cardinal Scoreboard Show, and we'll see you on Friday night.